Okay, we already have two smartphones with the chat active on both. We're going to see how the contacts are linked and what the procedure is, or some of the procedures we can perform between them, okay? So you can see how all the usability of our new encrypted chat interacts. Let's remember, here we have the user named 1, here we have the user named 2, all right? If they were physically together, just by scanning each other's QR codes, they would link up. But let's imagine they are remote, okay? That they aren't physically together. So user 1 would have to search for user 2, okay? And add them to their platform. From this point forward, it really seems like they are finally able to establish a meaningful and direct connection with the user. They can say to them, hello, 2, okay? And send them this message. It would seem so. Actually, user 2 receives a push notification, but they can't see the message. Why? Because they still don't have the public key of user 2 with which to encrypt it. Therefore, the only option for these two users to be able to talk to each other is for user 1 to establish a connection with user 2, and for user 2 to also establish a connection with user 1. This way, their public keys are shared and they can talk. If this doesn't happen, they can't talk. Just because I write to Elon Musk and send him a message, Elon Musk won't see anything if he doesn't explicitly look for me and add me as a contact. Okay, so for this example, let's go ahead and put user 1 right here. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Doesn't exist. Let's see. Damn. And we're going to add him as a contact, okay? At this moment, I can already see a message. Why? Because the server has shared it the moment I added him. It shared the public key, and he was able to send the encrypted message, okay? So I'm already seeing the hello too, okay? This is a bit of the procedure. From here on out, it's just a normal chat. You can write anything to send to the user, and this information, which is encrypted from this device, passes through the Cuvex servers for the exact amount of time that we have a guarantee that it has been delivered. The moment it has been delivered, these messages disappear from the Cuvex server. If I send a message, whatever it may be, and it isn't delivered, it remains encrypted on our servers for 7 days. Let's say that Cuvex never has the possibility to see any type of information that users share, whether it be messaging information or any other internal procedure. Everything is end-to-end encrypted. Only the receiving user's hardware could see these messages, because they have the private key with which they can decrypt what was encrypted with the public key. Okay? This is very important to explain because let's say it's the great magic that the platform has. Within the functionalities, let's pull down this menu. Within the functionalities, now you're going to see that we have these 3 options. New actions will start appearing here. There'll be more interaction menus. Right now, the most important functionality we've created is that you can either request an address to pay someone, or ask to be paid an invoice, right? Send an address to receive, request an address to pay. You could also share a cryptogram, which is very powerful. This allows you to make remote backups. You can perfectly well share a cryptogram with any of your contacts. They will be able to save it, but they will never be able to decrypt it because it's an AES 256 GCM cryptogram if they don't have the cryptogram password, okay? But the important thing is that through a secure channel, 100% encrypted, 100% private, in which no one knows the actors who are talking, you can interact with different menus, okay? Let's do a test. Let's ask him to make us a payment, okay? We are going to request that he make us a payment of $4. Just imagine. So here I've loaded a message the user 1 has received, the payment request for $4, and now has 2 options. He can, when he clicks it, complete the payment or decline it. Let's complete it so you can see the full flow of how it works. What this is going to do is load the transaction directly into my watch-only wallet without me doing anything. The amount is going to load the address he provided. You see it ends in 50KX. We'll see it now in the procedure. And the only thing I have to do is launch a standard PSBT transaction, the kind we already handle, okay? We'll click continue. I don't have enough balance for €4. I'm going to send the total I have, okay? And here it's telling me that it had to reduce the amount to be able to pay the fee, right? Included the minimum one, which would be the slowest. Let's set the fee to medium to guarantee this. Even if it reduces even more, the amount that the user is going to receive, okay? We get an alert that it's a full spend, meaning I'm spending the entire balance. There is no change address. If I look at the transaction details, I have one input, I have one output, and there is no change address. The fee is at 2 sats per byte per virtual byte, okay? So basically, the only thing I have to do is start a standard PSBT process. I go to the menu of the app of the Cuvex device, and I activate it with the blue light to receive the PSBT procedure. Here, I select Cuvex Bit. I launch it. This is the Cuvex folder that the device has created to share the information. Let's remember that there is no direct communication. It just creates something like a flash drive where files are shared between the app and the Cuvex device, but there are no commands, there is no possibility of producing any type of information between both, okay? So basically, I'm seeing an input, an output, and a fee. To verify the transaction, it forces me to decrypt the cryptogram that the app has now passed to the device. The device didn't have the cryptogram. Along with the PSBT, it has passed the cryptogram where I have my private key, and now I have to decrypt it to be able to conclude the transaction, okay? I'm already seeing the transaction here. I see it has no change. I see there's an input that this goes to the receiver. This is being spent. This is what goes to the receiver, and there is a fee. Okay. And that there is no change. It's the alert for this ADD or this transaction doesn't have a change address, meaning the spend is complete, and what I'm seeing is the money that the receiver is going to get. If you see, 50KX is the same address we created in this wallet. I signed the transaction. The transaction is now prepared. Now what I have to do here is broadcast it, meaning here is the signed transaction, but it hasn't been broadcasted. So what do I have to do? I have to go back to the wallet, click on Access the Watch-Only wallet, and prepare it to be able to receive the transaction and broadcast it. Okay? I click here on Broadcast. To activate it, let's remember that the Cuvex bit device must always be active beforehand in order to create the shared folder so that the app can see it. So I press here. I already have the blue light active. The shared folder has already been created, and here I choose Cuvex bit. Okay, access to the shared folder. I'm in the Cuvex folder. I tell it, yes, this is the folder. It's being sent, it has finished, and it has been sent to the mempool. The transaction has been sent directly to the mempool. I can go to the mempool to see it, but as you can see, it has sent an automatic message that the transaction has been completed. Both of us, right now, I can access the mempool from here to see it. We are already seeing the transaction, which is still unconfirmed, the details, 50KX, and the recipient of the money who requested the invoice payment also has direct access to the transaction in the mempool itself, where they will see exactly the same transaction. See? 50KX for the same amount. So basically, what we're really saying here is that the users, let's go ahead and go back to the apps, okay? And this window right here, I'll just close it because I don't really have to use it anymore, so that's fine. Okay, now I'm going back to the chat. I'm going to connect it with Uno, and I have the same messages that they have. This is the great functionality, right? If, for example, we do it another way, that is, if I, for example, tell it, hey, what I want is for you to give me an address to, I want to send you more money. Well, in this case, since there's no balance left, let's do it from here. Imagine that from here I request an address to send it money. It says to me, how much money do you want to send? Let's imagine $2. Here, you receive a message of, I want to pay. I want to pay you. The 1, 2, in this case, 1 is telling 2 that it wants to pay it €2. So here I have the option to accept. I want to accept receiving that money, or I decline. All right? No, there's nothing else. So basically, that would be the functionality. And finally, if we want, well, we can share a cryptogram. Imagine that I have several, but I choose this one, and this is the cryptogram I want to share. Since this app doesn't have it saved in the NFC yet, in the secure element, it asks me to read the card. Okay. with the card reading, let's see, sure, there it is. It shares the cryptogram, okay? That's it. This app has saved it to its secure element, and by saving it to the secure element, it has sent it to this third party. The receiving user can choose, I don't know, let's choose a card design and can save the cryptogram. From here on, I could perfectly well, let's close this here if we want, I could perfectly well send this new cryptogram to be decrypted, provided I know the key. No, sorry, I haven't activated this. Let's hit decrypt. It has created the folder for the elements for the shared pen drive, for shared memory. We choose the folder, we send it to them, and the recipient could then proceed to decrypt a cryptogram. Right? But they would always need to know the password. If they don't know the password, they won't be able to do anything because it's an AES-256 cryptogram, which, yes, we sent via a chat, but a chat that has its own encryption as well. In other words, not only is the cryptogram encrypted, the file itself that's being shared is encrypted, but it has obviously gone through a completely private channel that is also encrypted with post-quantum cryptography. Well, that's all. This is the development as far as we've come. I invite you to stay tuned because a lot of things are going to start appearing here, like the multi-signature wallet. We're going to have a coordinator that initiates the request for a multi-signature wallet through the chat. Users will be able to share the multi-signature descriptors of cosigners through the chat. You'll know who you're missing, who you're not missing. Broadcasts will be sent to those contacts once the wallet is active so that each one has their let's say, unified descriptor and can manage the balance of that wallet. Anyway, there will be many things within the chat as well. Very soon, we're going to activate the ability for you to create stablecoin wallets for USDC, USDT, and you'll also be able to do this whole procedure with dollar stablecoins, okay? You'll be able to send or receive dollars in the same process. We already know that stablecoins don't use the PSBT format, but we're creating our own standard, our own model to be able to maintain the same security. In other words, we are developing what we have called the PSTT, the partial signed token transaction, which basically replicates the usability of a PSBT with stablecoins. And what the great power it has is that within the procedure, within the menu of each card you are recording, of each cryptogram you are recording, well, basically it's that the watch-only wallets will act only as watch-only wallets. You're going to sign dollars with your smartphone. The smartphone won't have the capacity to sign and send dollars. You will always be able to, you will always need the Cuvex device as a security module, as a hardware security module to release the keys, to decrypt, and to be able to sign, right? And it's a new experience in which we increase security even much more within of stablecoins, because right now, as you know, they all work with smart contracts and well, there are many possibilities for things to happen, right? So our new model is going to provide a massive capacity to support, of course, Bitcoin, which is our core and what we have to defend, but also stablecoins, because we believe that they are the two big bets of the entire sector and what we all use nowadays, right? So, well, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching the video, and more and better news coming soon.